From the beginning of developing Resident Evil 6, we planned on having 4 different campaigns for players to enjoy. The reason for that was pretty simple. It was more a logistics thing than anything else. I wanted to do an ensemble cast for a Resident Evil game. We realized that there was no way we could just do a straight-up narrative if, especially we were trying to keep some of the elements from Resident Evil 5, mainly the partner system from RE5. The series has progressed quite away from its roots where you were just trapped in one mansion for the whole time. I think Resident Evil series doesn't necessarily have to go bigger and larger every time. There's still potential to go back to something like that. I think it just depends on the needs of the game. We weren't trying to go bigger and bigger in scale with this game. We were just trying to come up with different set pieces that we thought would fit the story we were trying to tell. It feels like this is a very large-scale game, but when you play those individual episodes, they're very self-contained. I don't know, going forward where we could take this game, I don't know, I don't think it would be impossible to surpass what we've done, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's something you want to do. It's very possible that the next iteration of Resident Evil could be something on a smaller scale as well. So then the director came to me and said he wanted to break up the story into 4 different campaigns, and I thought, okay, how are we going to do that? Because, you know, as a producer, it's my job to make sure that we stay under budget, and just the mere thought of that alone would put us over budget. So I had to make sure that they could really shrink down what they want to do in terms of story into these 4 campaigns, and that it would fit within the time frame of our schedule. I understand that from a story perspective there were things that they wanted to do in the game, but we had to make sure that from the player's perspective it would also be enjoyable to play. So there was a lot of horse trading and back and forth and pulling of teeth in the beginning to try and narrow it down to what we could do into those 4 thrown to those campaigns that would still keep us under budget, that we could produce and create, and that players would enjoy. So when coming up with ideas of which characters we should put into these 4 campaigns, we decided to bring Chris and Leon back and put them in the game together. I'm not even sure why I chose Chris and Leon, but at the very beginning of development I had this idea of that famous scene of Chris and Leon pointing their guns at each other. And I think just from that reason alone, they're both cool characters, they're strong, they're trustworthy, reliable. They embody everything that's good in main characters. Having 2 similar protagonists for us was something we wanted to avoid. So right from the outset we decided we needed to make some changes, and the changes came with Chris. Leon we decided to keep as is because we haven't seen him in a while, so we decided to preserve that aspect of his personality, you know, this hero fighting for what's right kind of thing. But with Chris, we just had him in RE5, so we've already seen him do that recently, so we thought we could take him in a new direction with RE6. So when developing the game and the story, we were trying to figure out, well, if we do kill a character, could we kill someone like Chris? And originally we developed a thread where Chris could die in the game, but at the end we decided to not go for that, just because we couldn't think of a good way to do it. It just felt like we were just trying to do something cheap, like just for the shock value. Let's kill a main character here, and that's all it would have been, and it would have been kind of a waste to use Chris's death in that kind of way. So by switching the death over to Piers, the young member of the BSAA, the young, wide-eyed member who's trying to do good and stuff, and when he dies, that has an emotional impact, and so players can put themselves in Chris's shoes, and at that moment they can have some of the similar thought processes as Chris. And I think Piers' storyline, I think it's pretty moving. I mean, you could say it's pretty boilerplate self-sacrifice type of story, but even still I think there's something moving about it. So we brought back Ada Wong for Resident Evil 6, and if you play through the game, you'll find out that there's more than one Ada. There's a female Carla Radames running around claiming to be Ada Wong. Well, originally I wanted to do a clone, but we've never had cloning technology in the world of Resident Evil. So the producer said, yeah, you can't do that. You can't just create something out of nothing like that. So I thought, well, what if we, instead of clones, we did it a roundabout way with the C virus, the new virus for this game, so that it doesn't actually clone a person, but you take a human, in this case Carla, and you copy the imprint of someone like Ada onto her, and you mutate her into another Ada. And that's how we were able to get around that. I think originally what I was discussing was maybe we could have 4 or 5 different Adas in the game, and they're all clones, and then the thing would be all the Adas you've encountered in the Resident Evil series so far, like RE2, RE4, and other appearances, they all were different Adas. So then at the end of, say, if we had an Ada-only campaign, then the player would have to decide, okay, all the Adas have to fight it out. There can be only one, and then which Ada is going to win? Is it going to be the RE2 Ada? Is it going to be the RE4 Ada? So, but yeah, that idea went nowhere pretty quick once they said no clones allowed. So that's why I had to go with the C virus and mutate another poor human into Ada. So RE6 has a lot of characters that we've seen before, Leon and Chris, but we've also wanted to introduce some new characters, and one of those characters is Jake Mueller. And he's kind of the entry point for novice RE players, and so he offers that gateway. And the reason why he has a couple endings in the game is because we wanted him to have a lasting appeal and kind of tease of the potentiality that he has for future iterations of the series. When hashing out ideas for Resident Evil 6, I think the idea of using Albert Wesker came up at least once while we were doing this. I think every time we work on a Resident Evil game, the idea of using Albert Wesker comes up once. But I was involved with Resident Evil 5, so I knew what happened to Wesker. And there's some people who want to say, oh, maybe he didn't actually get hit by that rocket launcher in the face. So maybe he's still alive, but you know, that's probably not the direction we want to go in. I think the fact that the way he died and when he died really served the series, and I think that serves the character as well. I didn't want to have that death be cheap and meaningless, so looked for another way we could connect Wesker to the current game, and so we were developing the character of Jake Mueller at that time and thought, well, it would be cool if he had a secret that no one knew, and if that secret was it tied him to Albert Wesker, with him being Wesker's son, that would be something cool we could do. So I hope that maybe a new generation of RE fans, or even old RE fans, will look at Jake as carrying on the tradition of Wesker, that what people thought was cool about Wesker, they can find some of that in Jake as well. Looking back on Resident Evil 6, the production of this game was pretty challenging just because of the scale of the entire project and what we were trying to accomplish. Our goals were to get it done as quickly as possible, save as much money as possible, but also retain a level of quality that everyone could be happy with. And I don't think the word impossible was in anyone's mind when they were working on this game, even though the requests we had in terms of production were pretty near impossible. We were asking for pretty much twice the amount of content of RE5 and the same production schedule, and almost around the same amount of staff as well. So people just really put their all into making this game possible.